So you're thinking about making a move to the Boise, Idaho area. Well, today I'm gonna make a little bit of a jump. We're gonna talk about what you need to know before you actually make that move. We're gonna assume that you've already fallen in love with the idea of relocating you and your family to Idaho. You've already found the home that you're looking for. You are now making plans. What are the things that you need to consider about living here that may be a little bit of a culture shock or just to-do list items? We're gonna talk through some of these major things that you need to know to be prepared to make that move here to Boise, Idaho. Let's get into it right now. Okay, so if we're talking about making a move from another state, there are a lot of things that you're gonna have to knock out before you actually can get here, start to call the place your home, and really relax. There are a lot of different steps with this. And today, I wanna just highlight a few of those things that are a little bit more unique to here in the Idaho area that you need to make sure are on your list. What's up, guys? I'm Chase Dolan, and this is Living in Boise, where I show you what it's like to live, work, and play here in the Boise and Greater Treasure Valley area. If this is your first time to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below so that you are the first to know everything that you need to know about the Boise, Idaho market. I'm a local agent up here in the Boise area, and I talk to people just like you every single day about relocating to our great valley. So whether you're planning to make a move in 9 days or even 9 months, I don't care. I want to chat with you. I want to figure out how we can potentially help you feel just a little bit more confident in moving your family to the Boise, Idaho area. I want that move to be as smooth as possible for you. So call, text, email, whatever works best for you. You can even set up a Zoom directly on my calendar. All of that information is down below. I would love to chat with you, figure out how I might be able to help. And the first thing that I always talk to clients when they're starting their relocation journey is, when are you moving up here? When's your closing date? What time of the year are we gonna be in? Because the weather can play a huge role in your moving plans. Here in Boise, we have got all 4 seasons. So if you're moving in the spring, summer, fall, you're probably gonna be okay. Potentially, if you're moving in the summer, things can get pretty hot here. So if you're leaving stuff in a pod on your driveway, if you have a moving truck, anything where kind of heat temperatures might hurt some of your belongings, plan for that, because things can get pretty hot here during the summer for a pretty short amount of time. But the big thing to be planning for is if you're making a move here anytime during the winter. One of the things that makes our valley really great is these 4 seasons, and a big part of that is the fact that we do get snow. Now, snow is a pretty normal thing up here, so our roads are typically pretty well taken care of. They're gonna be plowed. You're not gonna be completely snowed in. But when you're talking about planning a move, you have to be prepared. If you're driving a truck potentially from another state, there's gonna be different routes, especially if you're coming from Southern California, Nevada, Texas, where you're kind of having to traverse through the Rocky Mountains, for example. You may need to plan ahead on that kind of travel. Number 2, we're gonna wanna figure out, how are you going to commute to where you need to go? Boise on the whole has very minimal public transportation. We don't have a very vast public transportation system in Boise itself. There is a bus route, there's various different things that you can use, but especially when we're talking about getting out of Boise to Meridian, Nampa, Eagle, that public transportation is tough to find. If it is an absolute necessity and that's what you have to use, there are ways for it to work. So do some of that research beforehand. But for the most part, you're gonna probably be pretty reliant on a car or a bike, depending on how far you need to go. And with this, start planning for this now. Start to figure out, what are the different routes I can take to get to my work in downtown Boise, for example? What happens if the highway's super backed up? Where could I potentially shoot down? If I'm going out to Meridian, I need to be there by 8 a.m., but if I'm going against traffic, I might not need to leave quite as early as if I'm going with traffic, going from the west side, Nampa, Meridian to Boise. You might need to plan just a little bit more ahead. Overall, in relative terms, our traffic here in the area is not that bad. But once you get used to the area here, it can start to feel just a little bit congested. And with the construction and the growth that is happening, you always want to make sure that you're prepared. So whether we're talking about work, getting the kids to school, going and doing things for fun, whatever it is, just start to think ahead of, okay, how am I going to get places? Where do I need to go? And if you're banking on public transportation, look into it now so that you are prepared. All right, and continuing along with number 3 of the things that you need to know before you make that move to Idaho, is just purely the awareness of what the gun laws here in Idaho are. Idaho on a whole is a very gun-friendly state. There are not a lot of restrictions on what can be done, anything like that. This is not a conversation for if you're against gun control, if you're for it, anything like that. This is purely just, you gotta be aware of what you might expect. Here in the Boise, Idaho area, it is not uncommon to see people just kind of carrying around a holstered weapon. If this is something that isn't normal in the state that you're coming from, or it's something that you just really have never been around, it can feel like a little bit of a shock when you first kind of interact with them. And I can speak from that. I come from Colorado. I've been here for about a decade now, so I've gotten pretty used to it. But Colorado, guns were not as widespread. Once you come up here to Idaho, it's a different kind of place. And this is an important thing for people that are living here, so it's not going to change anytime soon. So just be aware of it. Again, it doesn't matter if you're for it, against it, whatever that is, but you got to be aware so that it doesn't catch you off guard the first time you see it. Now, let's jump into a little to-do list item. Number 4 of the things that you need to plan for is when you get here and you're actually physically here, you've gotten your move-in figured out, all of that. Here in Idaho, you have 90 days to change your driver's license over, to get it kind of moved over so that you are an official Idaho citizen. This means that you're gonna have to go into the DMV, do all of the things, get your license transferred over, all of that. It's important to know here though, every single DMV or the Secretary of State office isn't going to be able to help you with your driver's license. There are only a couple of locations that actually can help you with this specific part, which means the wait times and everything can really be long. So this is something where I highly suggest go online, schedule an appointment, plan out for it, and get everything set up now so that you are a little bit ahead of the game. Along these same lines, make sure that you're registered to vote. This is not a state where you are automatically registered. It is a very simple process to go online and register to vote, but it is something that you're gonna have to be on top of. And finally, similar to the driver's license, you're also gonna wanna get your car registered and your license plates changed over. I believe it is 90 days here, so you kind of have to do all of this at once, but getting your license plates transferred over, I'm just going to tell you as somebody who's lived here for a while and heard from a lot of locals, if you can have a local Idaho license plate on your car, life is going to be a heck of a lot easier. California plates, Oregon plates, any out-of-state plate, people tend to make a lot of jokes and they kind of blame all of the bad things on the road on you. So the quicker you can get those plates transferred over, I promise you are gonna blend right in just a little bit quicker. Now let's talk a little bit about those strangers. Something that I notice when clients are relocating here to the area that they aren't quite as prepped for as they probably should have been, is you have to be ready to talk to strangers here. People in Boise are extremely kind, but it is a type of city where people don't put their head down and kind of avoid eye contact. They'll make eye contact with you, they'll smile, they'll shake your hand. When you're in line at a grocery store, they will strike up a small talk conversation. It can be a little bit of an adjustment if you're coming from a bigger city where this just isn't what you do. You got your AirPods in all time. That's really what you're kind of used to. The good thing is this is one of the things that can make our city so freaking cool. People here are very kind, they are very welcoming. As much as they will give you a ton of crap about being a transplant, people here really do love the people that they live around. But with that being said, do not be shocked. Locals here are very opinionated about the way that they live their lives, about the way Idaho is set up, the way Idaho is structured, all of these different things. Their big concern is they don't want people moving here and changing the place that we all fell in love with. We love this area, and you will too if you make the decision to actually move here. And locals will make sure that you know, hey, please don't bring any of that stuff that you ran away from here to our town. But they'll say it with a smile, and as long as you're not trying to change the way that they're living their lives, you all will become the best of friends. But it's something that whenever I'm talking to clients who are moving from other towns, it can catch them off guard a little bit when they're like, people actually said hi to me. I wasn't able just to walk through the grocery store and mind my own business. Now, transferring over to the 6th thing that I want you to be prepared for is I want you to start thinking now, what is your favorite new activity gonna be? Something that makes our valley so great is just the vast number of outdoor activities, all sorts of different things that you can go out and do pretty quickly and in close proximity. So I want you to take advantage of it. Do you want to get into fishing? Do you want to go out and see the fall colors on a drive? Do you want to go for a hike either just outside of town, or do you want to go up to the Sawtooths? Are you big into camping? Do you want to try hunting? Let's say that you just want to try to read more books, so you want to visit some of the coffee shops in Boise. Whatever it is, start thinking about it now, because once you get into the hustle and bustle of the move, it can be tough to really start to figure out, okay, what do I want my life to look like here? And the quicker you get involved in something, it'll just kind of bring everything together. And when you couple this with the last thing that we were talking about, this is a great way to start to build a little bit of community here in the area. Relocating to a different state, whether you might have family or friends here already, uprooting your life and moving it somewhere else is always a big deal. And a big part of this is you're leaving your life there. You're leaving your family, your friends, your community there. So I want to help you build that here as quickly as you can. And there is no better way to meet new people than doing something that you enjoy. And something to remember with our growth here and how many people we have relocating to our area, a lot of people will probably be in a very similar situation to you and your family. Especially if you're going to be in a new construction development, you're going to see that people are so friendly and they're so anxious to get to know people purely because they're going through the same thing that you are. So it's a really good way to start to build that relationship and feel pretty comfortable here. All right, and to wrap it up, I have a little bonus one for families out there. This is just a note, but start to plan ahead a little bit when you're looking at the schools that you want your kids to attend. When you're going through your kind of home buying process, you've probably already identified where the school districts you want to be in, where do you want to be located, all of that. But this is also important if you're banking on or you're coming from a state that has open enrollment, for example. We have open enrollment here, but each district is just a little bit different, and a lot of them are open enrollment for applications or open enrollment through a lottery, all sorts of different things, to where I want to make sure that if you want your kids to go to a specific school, you have that ironed out. Or you want them to go to a charter school, you want them to go to a faith-based school, whatever it is, start to plan ahead now, because every district, every school here does it a little bit differently. And I know from talking to clients, every single state can differ so much. And I don't want you to have to deal with that once you get here. So start to think just a little bit ahead. What schools are you going to be looking at? But overall, that's a quick list of things that I think you should be prepared for when you're moving to the Boise, Idaho area. Some of these things may seem more major than others. Some of them may seem pretty trivial or things that you're not overly concerned about, and that is perfect. I just want to make sure that you're aware of some of the things that make our city so unique and give it part of the appeal that probably drew you here. Because at the end of the day, my entire goal with this channel, with my job, everything like that, is to make this move to the Boise, Idaho area as smooth as possible. So just a reminder, I'm a local agent here in the area. I work with people just like you, relocating their family here all the time. So if there's any way that I can help and you have any questions at all, call, text, email, whatever works best for you, go ahead and reach out. I'm the one who answers all of those, so I would love to chat. But until then, I'll see you all on the next one.